So this is not going to be a long video, guys. This is going to be talking about re-rolling characters. And what I mean by re-rolling characters, you've probably seen people talk about this a lot. But essentially, some people, especially when they start AFK Journey, opt to abandon their free-to-play account and go onto another server. There are several reasons for doing this. The reason being is that you get some guaranteed pulls at the start of your sort of AFK Journey career. You get Cessia as a guaranteed first 10 pulls, and then you get either one of Rowan, Hewin, or Smokey and Mirky as your next 10. Ideally, Smokey and Mirky is the best for PvE content progression. So if people want to min-max, they sometimes do it based on that. And then also, you do it to kind of try and get as many lucky pulls as you can using a setup wish list that is designed for a new server. So that's what we're going to talk about today. For me, I'm too far down the rabbit hole to do that. However, if I had done some more research when I started, I may have opted to try and find a brand new server and look to go onto that. Because what's happened with AFK Journey is that as soon as the game started, everyone that was hyped about it or knew about it or was always going to invest in the game, they jumped on pretty much ASAP. So all of the early servers are generally full of players that know what they're doing, or whales, or just sort of free-to-play players that kind of got caught up in the mix. But that means a lot of the early servers, let's say the first 100, maybe even 200 servers, they're going to have people on them that know exactly what they're aiming for. They are maybe going to spend money, and they are going to be looking to compete in the rankings pretty much all the time. And that's the most important part about deciding whether you want to go to a new server. If you go into a brand new server and you are willing to put a bit of time in to immediately grind, you get the right pulls, and you set up your wish list properly, you can set yourself up for success in the long term in AFK Journey. Because, and the most important thing about new servers is rankings, specifically Arena, but also in Dream Realm. And because every server is basically isolated, and that's what's really important here. Every server is basically in isolation. You don't need to worry about what people are doing on other servers. You are just competing with the people on your server. So when you join a new server, and especially if it's one of the later servers where people are not whaling as hard as some of the early servers are, you'll be in a situation where you can push rankings early and gain really important materials that you would otherwise not be able to get on a highly competitive server. Specifically, what I'm talking about is especially on the Dream Realm rankings. If I can find the Dream Realm rankings. For some reason, I can't. Oh, here we go. Specifically, the Dream Realm rankings. I'm talking about this here. So, if you rank within 1 to 10 or 11 to 20, you're going to pick up a load of Tidal Essence, but most importantly, Temporal Essence. I very rarely ever get past rank 20. I am outside of the top 20. I sit pretty much consistently between 21 and 50 every day. And I'm generating 2 Temporal Essence. I'm happy with that, though, right? That I actually think for most players, that's a relatively good place to be. Very unlikely on any server, if you're not spending, that you're going to rank in the top 10. And ranking in the top 20 could be hard as well. But you have a better chance of ranking that highly on a new server as a free-to-play player if you go in with a strategy, knowing what you're going to do, and from the very get-go, you are pushing these bosses as hard as you can to generate as much of this very important resource, Temporal Essence, in the early game. Because there is... Look, this is not to say that there's not going to be methods to generate Temporal Essence down the line, but right now, there is practically no other consistent way to generate one of the most important resources for getting X weapons to level 5 to 10. So, if you are a free-to-play player and you've only started recently, you haven't put a huge amount of time into the game, then there is a very, very good argument for you to just basically create a new character on a new realm, start again, go through that entire process again, and go in with the attitude of, I'm going to try and get Smokey and Mirky, and if I don't get Smokey and Mirky, I am just going to restart. That's in my second 10, in my first 20 pulls. And then set up your wish list. If I go to the wish lists, set up your wish lists to be essentially Dream Realm focused, right? Marily and Corin as a priority. You want Smokey and Mirky in there. Get Coco, maybe get Kruger as well, because Kruger's very important in that sense. And essentially set up your wish lists. I don't even know why I've got Brutus on there. I suppose I use him more than Reese. But set up your wish lists to essentially be focused on getting stuff that is important for the Dream Realm, especially your A tier heroes like Marily, Corin, Coco, and even Kruger. Those are going to be really important for you to get those rankings up, and then just push as hard as you can. Push your levels, push the story, essentially do as much as you can. And in the first 30 days, if you're ranking in, like, let's say optimistically, you're ranking in the top 20, you're going to get 90 temporary essence, which is going to help you push X weapons to level 10 much more easily, right? Right now, I'm generating 60 temporal essence a month just from this. So it's going to take me about 2 months to get enough temporal essence just from this alone to get one X weapon to level 10. Luckily, you do not need to get that many X weapons to level 10. And obviously everyone will down the line eventually do that. But this is the argument for rolling onto a new server. Essentially, go in with a strategy, get the right wish list set up, start ranking in the Dream Realm, ranking in Arena, and specifically in Arena as well. You know, you're going to get rewards based on your tier. And the weekly rewards, you actually get Twilight Essence for ranking in the champion. And you also get a load of first-time rewards as well. But you get Twilight Essence. Like, I have no idea what I'm going to do with Twilight Essence. But I'm getting 4 of it a week, which is a pretty big deal, because that's obviously going to be a really important one down the line. And then essentially, if you go onto a new server and push everything as hard as you can, you're on a brand new server, so you're not competing with the people who essentially came into AFK Journey with a complete plan, either played on the PTR realm, or they just came in knowing they were going to spend a lot. My server, I had to spend a decent amount to even rank in the top 30s. So keep that in mind. I've spent a bit on the game, right? So, and I'm only ranking in 30 to 50 most days on the Dream Realm, and I'm talking like, we're talking like $500, right? I'm ranking in 30 to 50 at that kind of expenditure. If I was more switched on, what I might have done is waited and gone to a newer server and attempted to be more of a bigger fish in a smaller pond on those servers. But alas, I'm a little bit too far down the rabbit hole on this server, so I'm going to stay on this one. But I'm still ranking at a point where I'm generating an important, you know, I would say 30 to 50 is the place to aim for, right? But even 50 to 100, you're going to get 1 temporal essence a day, which is decent. If you can rank 1 to 10, you compound and get dream fragments, you get loads of tidal essences. It's absolutely fantastic if you can rank that highly, but I'm absolutely nowhere near. If you look at the damage on my server, like 57 million, 54 million, 53 million, and then you look at the people that I'm around, so I am just about above a lot of people, but there are a lot of people that are only within about 4 million of me. So like, it's very competitive at the top end here, and you really have to keep pushing yourself over and over again to make sure that you're staying on top of it. This guy in my guild's at 50 million, but yeah, it's just worth noting that is probably the single best thing that you can do to set up your account for long-term success as a free-to-play player, especially because as a free-to-play player, there's not many other ways to get that very important resource, and it's going to set you up so that you can get the maximum value out of being a free-to-play player on a new server. So essentially, that is it. That is all that we need to discuss. If you're ever thinking about re-rolling, getting onto a new server and getting in the rankings, then if you're a free-to-play player, it's definitely worth it, because even if you have to give up 2 weeks worth of work on one server, right? That 2 weeks is not going to mean much in the grand scheme of AFK Journey. Like, these games are designed to be played over a very long period of time. So if you have to just sacrifice 2 weeks worth of work now and you've not spent anything to go and re-roll and get on a new server and get in the rankings and generate a very important resource that you wouldn't get otherwise, I don't really see there being a massive issue with that. Anyway, guys, that is everything that I have got for you on this topic. Hopefully it helps, and yeah, I will see you soon.